people. We're on day 19. You're doing this. Let's talk about oppression. Whew. Okay, what is oppression? It's a dance. Okay, we're all pawns. Unless we're the power brokers of the world, we're pawns caught up in a web of oppression. And if you study history, you'll see that all the disruptions in history has been about oppression. Who has power and who is oppressing and not sharing power, like we talked about, with everybody else around them. Power could be money, power could be status, power could be religion, it could be a bunch of things. But the point about oppression is that it's a dance. To be an oppressor, there has to be an oppressee. If there are no oppressees, there cannot be an oppressor. Okay, so it's a wicked dance. How do you as an individual get out of that dance? It's a systemic dance, no doubt, but it starts with us as individuals observing it, noting it, and saying no more. Okay? Whiteness and white supremacy culture dictate this oppression dance. The oppressor only has an identity because of the oppressed. There are no white supremacy. There are no white supremacists like the KKK if there were no black people. What is the point? The point is to hoard and retain power. Okay? That power thing, it's about everything. So let's talk about, but however, I told you it's a dance. The oppressor is a victim of systemic oppression as well as the oppressee. This is the most vulnerable. The oppressee is the most vulnerable and must be tended to. But how do you just take off the oppressor and say, oppress no more, go away, when their identity also is shattered? AKA white people, I'm talking to you. There's work here for you to do. James Baldwin, in Notes of a Native Son, said, it must be remembered that the oppressed and the oppressor are bound together in the same society. They accept the same criteria, they share the same beliefs, and they both alike depend on the same reality. Now, he's assuming that the oppressee, the person being oppressed, does not want, is blind to their oppression, which a lot of people are blind to their oppression, right? So he's saying that both people are involved in this dance until there's this awakening and a crack of all of it. He also said whoever debases others is debasing himself. I think of Toni Morrison and a statement she made that if I have to get on my knees and kneel so you can feel tall, I'm not the one with the problem. You are. And you need to go fix your problem. Okay? And that's literally what the whole thing around oppression is. And wokeness is a problem here because a lot of times white, progressive, liberal women, especially, they'll be like, I got it. I read James Baldwin. I watched, I read the 1619 Project. I watched all the movies. I'm woke. I'm aware of racism. I'm an ally. Nah, your work has just started. Don't think you're at the end of the journey. That's just an awakening. That's just you saying, oh, wow, there's a problem. Okay? It is still about you having about your individualism and about how you are dealing with your power when you start talking about, I'm woke, but that person isn't. And then you start calling out that person, the person you were just a minute ago. Careful about that. There's also this thing about oppression Olympics. Inevitably in a workshop, I'm saying we are going to stay on the subject of race. There are other historically marginalized identities. There are the intersecting identities. I'm a woman. I'd love to talk to you about me being a woman. And inevitably during the conversation, someone's going to come up and say, I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm gay and I've been oppressed as a gay person. That is still about individuality. That is still about you exerting privilege and power. And it would be usually a white person who's gay. Right? When we're talking about race, stay on race. There is no oppression Olympics. My suffering is not, if you're suffering, you're suffering. Okay? But the problem with race is nobody wants to talk about it. It's not going anywhere. And so we hop on it and get right off of it. That's part of the oppression tango dance. Okay? Find compassion in your heart to address racism and oppression without making it about you. Listen to your own suffering so that you have empathy for your own self so that when you're meeting someone else who's in an oppressed position, you can show up for that person and you don't make it about you. Learn how to call people in versus call people out. That's your action item for today. Calling out people is othering them. We do not other people. We call them into community. You know, I used to say stuff like that, and it's interesting. The reaction I'm having is interesting to hear you, what you're saying about allyship and whatever it is. And can we talk about that sometime? Let's have coffee. That's calling someone in. You don't shame them. You relate to them. You have empathy for them because of where they are. Okay? More tomorrow. Bye.